And here we are. All right then. We will indeed be starting shortly.
Yeah, Navis is running late, isn't he? Said.
Yeah. So we'll see how the day takes us. In the meantime, it's time to.
Saying that MJ the GM is offline.
What?
Twitch says you're offline.
Yes, because it's usually 3 minutes behind. But thank you for reminding me. There is a certain something I need to activate. I need to be able to actually see what chat tells me. Oh, dear me. Forget my head if it wasn't screwed on. It's not even screwed on either. Right.
We can weld it if you want.
Yes, I am indeed seeing you type. Thank you, Gareth.
That's okay.
But before we do anything else, it's time to roll that intro.
It's going to be a slow night. Is this season 1 or season 2 intro?
Still season 1, I'm afraid. And there we have it. That's our intro. Again. Awesome. Never get tired of that. Wow. Okay. Thanks for coming back. I know it's been a couple of weeks since we've last been together. But here we are now.
Your camera as well, Matt.
Sorry?
You're now closer to the camera.
I am indeed now closer to the camera and side-lit rather than front-lit. So you'll have to excuse that. No, it's kind of strange actually, because we started this not long after all that COVID lockdown stuff was ruling most of our lives, and it turns out I'd been sat in a comfy armchair, which was never meant to be sat in for extended periods of time. And yeah, I basically found out that the way I was sitting in that comfy chair propped up by so many cushions to try and keep my back straight and my elbows supported was not the best idea to keep your neck and shoulder joints properly aligned. So I have had to default back to a regular office chair in the kitchen.
There's only one thing for it. You need to actually custom made a proper captain's chair.
It's true. One day. One day. And on that day, I will probably have made enough money that I'll be able to live.
You get your own Navis.
As all this is funding, this you getting your own captain's chair.
It's going back into the thing, isn't it? Putting the money back in. No, it's a complete lie. That would be it.
It's when we actually all start taking this seriously and properly representing our characters. Like Matt is in the captain's chair. I just constantly am covered in moss. Webby and Jan lose parts of their bodies to get actual cybernetics. You know, standard stuff for role-play games.
Yep.
I'd say I'm dedicated to the part. I'm not that dedicated.
If you had that kind of augmentations, you'd be tempted to punch co-workers.
I know I would.
Just.
Well, if I could really fly a starship, I think I would give up my eye.
Potato.
By the way, anybody who says potato needs to be sent back to school.
Potato, potato, potato,
Yeah.
potato, potato.
So Matt,
Anyone want
how
some
bad are
potatoes?
Andrew's cybernetics glitching when I do his examination this week?
Yes, of course. The other two with cybernetics have to have their regular checkup with the doc to make sure such parts are still functioning.
Yeah.
And
I say,
Take it out
It's
and
like-
replace it with a tennis ball.
yes, yeah.
I say kilometer. I refuse to say that stupid kilometer thing.
Kilometers.
It's
They
a kilo of
murder
meters.
centimeters.
It's a kilo and it's a meter. Yes, kilometer. Thank you.
A meter of kilos.
No, kilometers.
So, welcome to Star Trek Grammar and Punctuation.
Star Trek punctuation.
Star Trek.
We went to Star Trek grammar Nazi. There we go. Let's get the one in for the night.
Is the correct epistemology?
Let's go with probably.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the USS Clippy. Its ongoing mission to make pointless corrections to Word documents for Starfleet for centuries to come.
And deliberate typos just to see if anyone notices.
To boldly lose documents that no one has lost before.
To be fair,
Myself,
if
I'm actually
Clippy was
wrong.
ever introduced into the Star Trek universe, you know that it would gain sentience as an AI program, go rogue.
Actually, wasn't Clippy the name of the virus that they were going to try and sabotage the Borg with when they had the Hugh episode?
Oh, that was Windows.
I'm pretty sure, like,
Webby
I'm pretty
Linux.
sure there's a bit where, like, the Queen's about to try and get hold of assimilate Picard again, and in the corner of a vision goes, "It looks like you're trying to assimilate a Star Trek captain. Would you like assistance?"
Excuse me. Well. In any case, one quick, pardon me, clarification before I move on. Shaun, I don't remember if we quite totally settled whether or not Nova was finally going to bite the bullet and get promoted, or is Nova still fighting the promotion?
She'd still like to fight it, but I don't think she has any choice in that.
Well, no, the captain won't press the issue. The captain very much wants Nova to go when she thinks she's ready to go, so... If Nova still doesn't want the promotion to Lieutenant Commander, then we'll hold off on that.
I think she'd hold off then.
Okay. Marvellous. Well, speaking of promotions, I think it's time a certain somebody read the first officer's log text that I gave him.
Do you want me to read the first line as well? For you to read today.
Just the first officer's log, please.
First officer's log. Stardate 49572.8. Long-range sensors on Starbase 364 picked up gravimetric distortion in the Madrigal system, which the Navis has been dispatched to investigate. We arrive within the hour. Plenty of time for our new ensign to get the talk from the captain.
Okay. At which point, we cut to the captain's ready room. And, yes, the captain is busy sat in her ready room behind her desk, looking at a load of reports when there's a door chime. At which point, she says, "Come in." And the doors hiss open to reveal Jonathan Edwards dressed in his official Starfleet uniform, an ensign's pip now affixed to his collar. The captain looks up from her computer and indicates the chair across from the side of the desk, and says, "Have a seat, Mr. Edwards." So,
He'll do so.
as soon as Edwards sits down, the captain puts down her pad, puts her hands on the desk in front of herself, and leans inwards. "Congratulations again on your appointment, Ensign. These last 6 weeks, I'm sure, have been grueling for you. What with the academic examinations, the simulations, et al. You passed, of course, so your rank is now officially recognized. However, the hard part is not over. Many here may feel some resentment towards you due to the manner in which you skipped the various examinations that are required for anyone being able to even attempt to join Starfleet. These officers, many of whom hold the same official rank as yourself, may see that you were given an easier ride than themselves, and may suggest that you have yet to show the hard work and dedication necessary for being a Starfleet officer. Your task, over the next few months, will be to show them why you were given this appointment. That being said, it has been agreed by the senior staff, as well as by Admiral Hebert, that you should still experience what other cadets had to go through on their way up to fully recognized officers. And so, effective immediately, Commander Andrews will be in charge of your physical training in order to bring it up to the standard expected of Starfleet graduates. Also, you will undergo a period of training in each department aboard the ship, effectively seconded to those departments in order to give you the same all-around training that every cadet in Starfleet would. So, like I intimated at the beginning of this conversation, things are about to get difficult for you, Ensign. But I do believe you are up to the challenge. So, see this as your chance to prove your detractors wrong, and more importantly, to prove me right about you. At which point, she gets up from her seat, holds out her hand for you to shake.
Edwards would stand up and take it.
To the bridge, Ensign. I will be along shortly.
Yes, Captain. And he'll leave.
Okay. So, yes. Jonathan Edwards has now become an official ensign with Starfleet, but obviously he's come from a civilian background, so he's going to need to be brought up to speed, as it were. So, yes. Commander Andrews is now in charge of physical training, so, Webby.
Oh my.
This is going to be
Buy
interesting.
a bed in standby for the inevitable result.
Well, no, Priesty Squares is the mental one, isn't it? Yeah.
Think so. Yes, unless anybody in chat wants to correct me on that. And hello, suitable substrate. If I didn't say so before, sorry, I was reading the text. And yes, so it's up to Andrews, which I should say, physical training Edwards needs to go through. And we also come to the interesting topic, of course, to which department Edwards gets seconded to first. So...
2 seconds.
I'm going to leave this particular decision to you guys, I suppose. Who think? What do other people think? Where should Edward start his official training? Science, medical, engineering, Helm,
no,
ops,
you don't get a vote in this.
tactical, security.
You can request a position.
Surely, given his skill set and background, I'd have thought that science would be the most obvious one.
But the whole point of this is to give, because Starfleet cadets come in and get put around the different departments, so that they've got all-round training just in case.
If it's lacking, it would be medicine.
Yeah, put you straight into the command
or security. His best strengths are engineering and science, so...
Put him into command, because his command is also 0. Night shift.
Well, I don't think command department would be one of the first ones it goes into, because the whole point is that in a pinch, a Starfleet officer has to be able to take over for pretty much anybody. So they have to have like all-round training. So
if it's required for physical training, then security would probably be the one that would be. if he's being assigned to Andrews for personal training, is that he's going into security.
What do everyone else? What do everybody else think?
If he wants to go to medical, then I have plenty of lectures and medical and biological and botanical information that he will be forced to sit through.
Psychological warfare.
Look, psychological training is a part of Starfleet training.
Let's move Ensign Keshen, the other comms
Operations
officer.
subject to a schedule that was so complicated they've not worked it out yet.
I remember when we put Nova through the botanical psychological training. Do you know, before I put her through that, she was a well-rounded and sane individual.
Now she's still a well-rounded and sane individual, she just has this occasional twitch.
No, she just has to count those chairs.
Count the chairs. So, what are we thinking then? Security? Security seems to be the only department where he's been given to so far. Alright then. So here's the head of security, Lieutenant Bravo. Which one? Okra Bravo, that was it. So Ensign Edwards is now tied to security for the moment. Whoa. Fresh meat indeed. Yes. So this isn't.
It's got to be tough when your supervisor can read your mind.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. It has got to be tough. So it depends how much trust you put in Lieutenant Bravo, really, isn't it? Okay. Just training protocol. Lieutenant Bravo. Okay. Is there anything else anybody else wants to do before we get officially started? Well, that's a good point, actually. Were there any science projects remaining?
Yes.
There weren't there?
It was going to be me and Navis. I can't remember if we'd picked a new.
You hadn't. You'd managed to. Right. So yes, just to bring everybody back up to speed. Edwards and Chief Engineer Vipers were trying to develop their own handheld sonic stun gun, and they tried the acoustics side of things to try and see if they could create one. A couple of accidents in the science lab. Notwithstanding, they pursued that particular research avenue to its conclusion and found that it didn't quite work out how they wanted. So they are now free to choose another avenue. The way this is suggested to work in the Star Trek Adventures core rulebook for the scientific method is you choose about 5 different focuses as avenues of investigation, and you need to accrue a number of successes before you reach the end of the particular path of experimentation before you know whether or not it's a success or not. So we've tried acoustics. The other suggested ones were xenolinguistics, computers, biology, or communications as hypotheses to pursue, as avenues to pursue. So Davis isn't here yet, so we could either hold off, but that could potentially interrupt the flow of the start of the episode. So you might have to suggest the avenue, the new avenue yourself.
I was thinking go for a strong point, going computers.
Computers.
I do believe that's one of Vipers' focuses.
Yes, Vipers does have a focus on computers. So
that would be him being the lead. Yes. It'd be engineering and something.
So, yeah, we'll go with reason and engineer. Yeah, I can go with reason and engineering, but with a focus on computers. So, trying to create some kind of high-tech, high-performance computer attached to some kind of sonic emitter, so that it can try and determine which frequencies are best for stunning which species. So Vibers gets 3 successes, and Ensign Edwards would like to assist. 2 successes. That's some pretty good rolls right there. Yes, that's 5 in total, which means you get what you want and then some. Okay, so yeah, with Vibers' focus on computers, you guys make a lot of progress. Let me get my elocution correct. A lot of progress very, very quickly. Showing some promise so far, in that you've managed to create a pretty complex algorithm to try and shift through available sonic spectra to try and find which one might be good. You're going to need to probably tie this to a biological database as well as some kind of bioscanner attachment. So there's some work to do, but the majority of the code has been written, so now it's a case of putting the bits together. So, interesting so far. Has possibility, but not at the end of the experimentation phase yet, so we'll see what results you get from actual physical trials. And who is this? This is going to be the man himself!
If the legend.
Sorry about dice, slight problem in deflector control.
That's fine. What we've just literally done right just now was tried the scientific experiment that Edwards and Vibers were doing.
Oh dear.
So, Alex suggested, since you've pursued acoustics to its end and didn't get what you wanted, that you start with the computers side of things instead. As a new avenue to pursue. And with Vibers' still doesn't roll off my tongue right that. Vibers' expertise in computing, you're able to put together some code pretty quickly, so now it's the next step will be putting together the bits, the actual physical bits and pieces you need to get the thing working. So sonic emitter, bioscanner, and sensor. All very interesting, but that is for the beginning of the next episode. This episode. Yes.
Sorry to jump in there, but there's something that we picked up last episode that Bertram would like to look at.
Oh, of course.
He took samples of the glowing fungus that was in like the various broken down ducts and tunnels that we went through.
Ah, yes.
Yes. As it was basically in some places the sole light source, and I believe we were told by the apostates and stuff that they also used it as a food source.
Yes.
So he said, you know what would be good? If I could read this into a usable light source that isn't affected by technological related phenomena, and in an emergency could also be a convenient food source, so a 2-in-1 deal.
So is Bertram himself now looking to create another new plant-related piece of biotech?
You almost sound surprised.
No, I'm not. I'm actually quite liking it.
No,
so.
that's basically what he's looking for.
So, edible, glowing mushrooms.
Essentially,
wow.
Essentially an edible, non-technological light source. Because how often do we go to places where our technology suddenly goes kaput for various reasons?
Well, good point.
Next is going to be edible knuckle dusters made out of turkey.
No, that's animal stuff. I do the plant stuff.
Fine, made of cabbage.
Well, since we're using the scientific method as suggested in the rulebook as a guide, you've done this before, so identify for me 3 to 5 possible focuses you want to try and use as the pursuit of how you're going to go about this.
The ones I used before were botany, genetics, biotechnology, xenobiology, and biology. Given that it's in a similar area, I figured those would be sort of decent ones to start with.
I think you need culinary to make it taste good.
He's not wrong, actually. Yeah.
That mean you're going to tag along with the chef?
Do we have anyone with the culinary focus?
We really should.
The closest person you have is the barman.
That's the one.
I say we all chip in and buy it for Claude.
Claws make food for weak nourishment of flesh bags.
He's gonna
Cannot
make-
use
he's gonna
proper
make
food.
stone bread.
Rock cakes.
You do make good rock cakes, I'll give you that. So
Thank you.
Never had the pleasure of trying some.
That's because the crew keep grabbing them.
Well,
Well,
you can
yeah.
mail me some.
Where does Claude get the rock salt from?
Banging rocks together.
Sure.
I think what Jan's suggesting here is maybe, you know, he excretes
I
it.
know. I was going along with it.
Oh my god, that's just put in the most bizarre thought into my head. Where you gotta like, if you're short on salt, you lick Claude. Oh my! Lick a Claude. We need to make that a hashtag now.
Hashtag liquor claws for Starfleet.
That means that there's more than one claw. Well, there can't be, because there is only one claw.
Well,
Maybe we're able to like chip bits off him and grow a new one.
Mr.
Well-
Latude transports Ensign Edwards to outer space.
would Berman
Touch my claw
then-
to feel my wrath.
Go on, sorry.
Fortunately, main transporters are kind of down. That's related to the deflector control incident.
Well, it's fine. Mr. Edwards, please escort. Come with me. We need to go and inspect the shuttle bay.
He's not making me laugh, he's making me cough.
Oh, diddle. This is what you get for attacking Claude.
I was about to say this is what I get for being ill, but fair enough.
Well then,
He was just looking for a chip of the old block.
making me choke on my own mirth now. Oh dear God. Ah, dear. Marvellous. Well, would Bertram like to make his first attempt at this marvellous new idea of his, and would you like to suggest the first focus direction you want to take it in?
Well, I'll start with the way that I started the previous one. So if I choose botany, because that way I can use the Medal of Excellence, the Cochrane Medal of Excellence, as that's related
Aha.
to botany. So that basically costs a point of determination, and I've received 2 of the benefits of spending that point instead of 1.
So this could turn out to be something very impressive very quickly.
Yep.
All right then. Go for it. This could very much be a case of I am fine with reason or insight and medicine.
I'll go with reason and
Makes
medicine.
sense. Yes, indeed, because it's biological.
Woo! So use focus. And that's it. How do I? Oh, that just says what it is.
Yep. So basically,
Okay.
just remember to, when you make the roll, it's going to ask for whether or not you've used a focus, and also
Yeah.
check the box for using determination.
Determination, and I have to add another determination after that because of the medal, because it doesn't look like I do that.
Well, it just
yeah.
means that your determination cost, the benefit is twice as much. So,
Ooh.
so we'll just take that into consideration when you roll it. That's all.
Okay. 5 successes. Oh,
Successes.
plus
so
the.
that counts as 7 actually. So, oof. Wowzer. Right then, so that's definitely quite a bit over and above what you needed. So, woo, promising so far. So, there are various species of fungus, mushrooms that are edible and can be quite nutritious. Combining this with the bioluminescence is quite tricky. But considering that Bertram has managed to combine an energy-eating moss and condition it specifically to take radiation, this, by comparison, is not exactly a walk in the park, but it's certainly a lot easier. You're just combining edible traits with safe levels of bioluminescence so that it doesn't A, spoil a taste, and B, spoil the ability of folks to keep it down when they eat it.
Yep.
So yes, very interesting so far. Might even, with that many successes, might even get to come in a variety of flavors.
Ooh. Fungus flavour, strawberry fungus flavour, and of
Yes.
course mushroom flavour.
There is the downside of you can only make these flavors when combined with large quantities of alcohol.
I don't see that as a
Fungus
downside.
there.
It is when you give it to the gymnasts on their competition or you give it to the security team.
Yes, there might be some things with some issues starting out with it actually makes those who eat it bioluminesce for a moment or two, but you can always get rid of that gene later.
Can I request
Oh,
those
don't!
ones?
We can tell it to staff with security.
What was that, Shaun?
Give it to prisons.
Can I request those ones as a feature?
It's a feature. Well, I
I
have to
just
finish off the.
Sorry. I was just picturing after that particular because Nova would definitely be up for it. I'll try it.
Yeah.
And she ends up glowing this bright blue. Go ahead, you can say it. You can say it, Doc. I don't want to say it. No, go on ahead, say it, Doc. Nova, you're positively glowing. Runs off.
Well, I do have the name for these
After
when
he says she's awfully bright.
when
Yeah, what's the name going to be?
it's going to be glomeromycota with an extra with a W after the O for the pun.
Marvelous.
Yeah.
As we said at the beginning of this episode, Starfleet has
Yeah.
way too many scientists.
So the result of this week's one is making good progress so far, or
Very good progress. In fact,
Excellent.
you've done most of the work already.
Ooh, so if I'm lucky, next week I might get to finish it off. Or next, I say next week,
Next
next
episode,
episode
yeah.
rather.
So this
Excellent.
session's episode actually takes place, where are we, 6 weeks after the last one. And yes, for those who came in late, the Navis is currently in transit to, where's the bridge ambience? Is in transit currently to the Madrigal system in the Shackleton Expanse. So at the moment, Edwards, of course, is off around, probably off in the security office, I suppose, is the best word for it. Having to brush up on the security procedures and whatnot, since this is his new posting. As a result, Ensign Hessian currently taking up the comms post, but the captain is happy back doing what they're doing. So before folks arrive in the Madrigal system, is there anything anybody wants to get done before you guys arrive in the Madrigal system? No? Okie dokie. Alright then. Your helmsman gets notification that you are about to enter on the outer edge of the Madrigal system. So, the captain orders the ship to come out of warp. If I can just find where coming out of warp is, there it is. So we find ourselves on the very edge of the Madrigal system. And just as your orders had alluded, there appears to be where is it? There appears to be some kind of anomaly in the system. As such, that's why you've come into the system at its very, very edge. The anomaly at the moment is not coming from the system's star. This is something separate in and of itself. At the moment, doesn't appear to be interfering with any of the other stellar bodies in the system, but it is generating some very strange energy readings. So, energy as well as gravitational.
Accessing library computer data.
Thank you, main computer. So I'm just going to throw us back to the bridge for a moment, just so I can have probably Commander Natala as our supporting character, but more than likely Nova as operations head, need to give stuff a sensor scan. Usually falls to Nova, so this will be more than likely a control and let's go with science test. Natala can always back you up on this. With use of her sensor operations focus. 2 successes, very well. So anything that our Denobulan science head comes up with is extra gravy. So there we are. That was 1 over what you needed, so you get 1 momentum. Awesome sauce. So, scanning the anomaly. The anomaly is quite far into the system, but there's definitely gravitational disturbances. Not so much that it's proving to be any kind of danger for any of the other planets in the system as of yet. It's kind of at that boundary between where it's safe and where it isn't, but there's also a second energy reading emanating from the anomaly that does ring very familiar. It takes Nova a moment to process the data in front of her, but these energy readings are very similar to the energy readings output by the monolith on Bacchus 4. All the way back when. Getting anything more than that, however, is proving to be rather difficult because of the sheer amount of interference that's being given out by the anomaly.
Bacchus for the weapon.
What was that, sorry, Shaun?
Bacchus for the tractor beamy type one that pulled things apart.
Bacchus 4 was the one where you went inside of the monolith, and it then activated a kind of like a self-destruct mechanism that blew up the planet and almost took out the planets next to it as well. This was where you originally got unit H31L0. And it's at this point that there is a sudden power loss.
Why have we not learned?
Damn it. If I'd only been a bit quicker, then I could have actually used the new project to light up the bridge.
Power is Viber's issue.
Indeed. So,
Indeed it is.
Yeah.
On that note, I think this is a case for reason and engineering, and focus on power systems on the lines of give it a bloody good kick.
Yep, that's fine. You can use that to try and diagnose what might have happened. So you're down to emergency power. Let's just be clear. 3 successes. That was 1 more than you needed, so I'm giving you 1 momentum for that. Right. Excuse me. Yeah, Viper's down in engineering, whips out a tricorder, has a scan. There was some kind of energy pulse that travelled up the sensor. What's the best way of describing this? Because the sensors let out an active an active ping, almost like a cone of sensor energy and magnifying a particular area, sending out energy particles in order to try and get some kind of return to analyze what was going on. Just
So
getting that.
back to our sensor beam.
Yeah, so you were as those energy particles were coming back towards the ship, they brought back something with it. They created some kind of sympathetic channel by which this energy came back up into the ship through the main sensor array, and then seem to go through the ship systems and seems to have knocked them out one after the other. Now, obviously, at the moment, your most pressing challenge is the fact that the matter-antimatter containment has been disrupted. If you don't get a handle on that pretty dang quick, so I'm going to switch us quickly to engineering, as the engineering crew are now starting to shuffle about a bit in a bit of a... What do we do, Chief?
All emergency power to antimatter containment. Shut down power to anything outside engineering. Stuff it, they can run manual. We'll tell the bridge later when I've got backups.
So this is going to be something of an extended task. So you're going to need to get so many successes before the work is done, and of course this time is of the issue now. So every turn you take, achieving the requisite number of successes matters. So I'm up for you nominating whatever configuration of attributes and disciplines you want to use and focuses. But you've got this at difficulty 2, but with 2 resistance.
Okay. Well, we've done this before.
Yes.
Kinda. We have procedures for this.
You do.
Oh good, I've got a manual.
And I do believe Vibers has a talent
called procedural compliance, which means I have a manual.
So by spending 2 momentum to create an advantage, you may re-roll a d20 during an engineering task, so you have to spend the 2 momentum that's in there. But you also have intense scrutiny, so whenever you succeed on reason control as an extended task, you may ignore 2 resistance. So as long as you use those attributes to do this, you'll be able to ignore both points of resistance on this particular very pressing piece of work.
So, reason and engineering on that one, and does someone want to roll Bravo assisting?
Yes, absolutely. Whoever wants to roll for Bravo, nominate yourselves.
I will.
Cool. So, what did you say, Davis? Reason and engineering?
Yeah, that's what I was going to go for.
Cool. So, Bravo.
Bravo
has got...
use Warpfield Fairy
I was
as
just
a
about to
focus.
suggest, yes, absolutely, you can.
Okay. And let's go overkill. I'll throw a determination in it now.
2
Okay,
successes.
Bravo got 2. That was not bad at all, and 4 in total. Woo! That was pretty hefty work. So 4 successes, 2 successes means you got 6.
5?
Now you ignore. 1 more. Good lord!
Well, I paid for it.
Crikey day, which means you got how many breakthroughs there? Definitely got over and above what you need. Somebody turned the containment switch to off. Well,
really extended.
Essentially, that was kind of what happened. It's as if all the fuses blew, and everything.
We don't have fuses. We don't have fuses.
anymore.
I know
They
we
blew,
don't
what
have
are you
fuses,
listening?
but I was giving it as an example of what
We got rid of them.
chunk. Everything
Throw
went
back.
went on to shut off. So yes. Wow, that was a hefty bit of work there.
We did have a manual. We did put the prep in.
So
The
that
amount of
was
times
over.
it's happened where we have had full system shut down. I'm surprised Vibers didn't have a manual.
Yeah, that's pretty much what this was. It's like, wait, I know what to do. This has happened before. Easy.
Just go straight, straight
Second
down the
button
list.
on the left, pull the levers, and go. Done.
So, yeah, we just need, I mean, hell's bells, you got 5 momentum back from that massive check. So,
Father goes, now sir, you need to tell me at this point, how many extra warp cores have you guys installed in the ship since the last meeting?
No consequences.
He's also
No
he
comments.
just wouldn't spare one hidden in his back pocket for such an emergency.
No, it's more, are they all breaching
Actually,
containment?
No comment.
Oh god, is that warp core in your pocket, or are you happy to see me?
No, it's
Fibers
a
is
strong.
always happy to see you.
Yeah, I'm not going down that particular rabbit hole of thought. I'm coming back to right. So, yep, you've activated all the. You've gone to the manual, part of which you wrote yourself, because this has happened enough times, and of course because the Navis has been an experimental ship, so a certain amount of the procedures for handling such intense power systems had to be written by you and your engineering crew as you figured them out. So, yeah.
The fact that we've got 2 cores means we're kind of used to bump starting them.
Yeah, exactly. So all you've got now is to do the startup procedure. So you put that lot of work in very quickly, which is a testament to not only Vibers' skill but also the teamwork of his engineering team. So yeah. The captain for promotions. But last bit of last check then. So this can be activating the startup procedures. So this can be reason and engineering again, or it can be control and engineering for initiating the startup procedures via the main computer.
Let's go for control and engineering just to be different.
Okay,
Do you want Bravo to help again?
Yep.
Okay.
So this is the two, the chief and his second in command, activating the startup procedures. There's 2 successes, and there's the 1 extra for gravy. So you've now got maximum momentum, and started up your started up the ship again. So yeah.
Sorry about that, Bridge. Slight power outage. We've managed to bump start the ship since. Should be back to normal.
Let's bring us back to the bridge. And bring us to the bridge ambience. Okay, so power comes back on. But there's still a fair degree of work that needs to be done. You've been on emergency power, but a lot of the main systems need to be kick-started back into operation, not the least of which is going to be life support. So, somebody needs to bring life support online. Shields might need to be modulated to cope with the strange energy effects that are going on in the Madrigal system. The power systems might likewise need to be reconfigured, as will the sensors. You don't want what happened just now happening again. So, plenty of work that needs to be done. So, who wants to do what?
I can assist on most things with presence and command. That's
Yes,
about
you
it
can.
for most of the system restarts.
So, it makes a degree of sense that the chief engineer would be in charge of bringing life support online, since that's a critical system.
Technically he's still in engineering, so he'd be
He's
on his way up while the bridge crew are restarting.
Yeah.
He's doing engineering, keeping track of everything.
I think Nova would volunteer for shields.
Didn't quite catch that, Shaun. What was that?
And Nova would volunteer to do the shields.
I was about to recommend, but there we go. Yeah, nice to know that such is.
So then it'd be Natala for potentially life support from the science side.
That actually makes sense.
Yeah. Power systems might need to be reconfigured, so.
Again, that's Nova as operations.
But Nova's going to be working on shields, so.
Well, if we push Claude to do shields as tactical officer, and then Nova does the actual electronics, that would be more sensible, because it means that they're each looking after their own specific department.
Shaun, you down with that?
Yeah, that's probably a top.
But if you want to do shields, do shields. It's not an issue. Claude can do life support. There we go. We trust him. We trust Claw with life support. Natala can do the electrics.
Yeah.
Claude raises an eyebrow. No,
It's-
Natala raises an eyebrow at that.
It's switch up day. Hey Bertram, do you want to do engineering?
Well, Bertram does actually have plasma power systems as a focus. So.
Well, let's just say that if you want the same people to do different tasks, it just means that they're going to have to complete what they do first before they can move on to something else. It'll just take a little bit longer to do as a result. So,
It's fine. Vipers can do power. Someone else can. If someone wants to help on that, then they get to roll in.
okay. And for
Kinda makes
sensors
sense,
to be
he's just got
reconfigured,
one backup.
for sensors to be reconfigured, I mean, Keval.
Doing simultaneously, yeah. Keval's probably the.
Since he needs navigational sensors up, so that would make a degree of sense as long as everyone's okay with that.
We just use this as the easy mode.
Didn't realise I was muted. I said, yeah, you can do it by sight.
So let's first get the important one done. We need life support brought back online. So, I mean, Lieutenant Trin could assist since she's technically, she works in the science department alongside Natala, with Natala being your immediate superior. So, life support. Let's see. This is probably going to be reason and engineering. Natala does have Starfleet safety protocols as a focus, so that would make a good focus to use. So, Gareth, since you're not going to be... Or Webby. Good for Natala.
Well, to be honest, as I say, I was probably Andrews been doing presence command for all bits where we're going through the startup checklist.
Okay, sure. What we can
So
do then
Assists
is...
on all.
Yeah,
bridge
Andrews
operating.
assists on all by giving her thing, so Turin can take a backseat. So, Gareth, if you want to take charge of Natala for the moment, then.
Yep. Okay.
All right then, start as you mean to go on.
Life
Yeah.
support just goes pop. Oh well.
And Andrew says, try firing your phaser to it to power it up. They go, okay.
Reason and engineering for Natala, please, with Starfleet safety protocols as a focus.
Focus.
She just ordered ensign.
Wow.
Good. Well, you did say start as we meant to go on, so...
Yeah.
Because, yes, Commander, I'm firing the phaser directly into the main controls of life support now. This will power it up.
Okay.
Wait, did you set it on stand?
What? No, go big or go home. I set it on to vaporize.
All right. So Natala, you know, Andrews gives orders as best as she can think of. Like, you know, this. You haven't had to do a major restart in quite some time, so it's a case of, oh, what's the procedure for this again? And Natala, even though she's got a focus in safety protocols, she's obviously calling it a little too safe. And things to activating life support takes longer than expected as a result, which means that anyone else trying to get other systems active are going to take... We're going to find it a lot more difficult as a result.
Good thing we don't have any photons on board. Dirty
You may have
photons.
accidentally ejected all of your torpedoes into space, yeah.
That's a complication. We don't have the quantums anymore. We accidentally stocked photons at the last minute.
Oh, dirty. Mr. Claw,
Andrews
I am
faints.
ashamed.
Once you go quantum, you never go back. Right, so that was... So life support will eventually come on, but it's kind of a... People are starting to breathe stale air, and everybody's getting a bit sweaty from the cloistered atmosphere, and climate control's not on, and the gravity deck plates are barely got much power. Thankfully, the actually, it's the deck plate. The deck plating should, the gravity should be fine. It's just the environmental controls are a bit. Yeah, Nova. Just like wherever it was I came from originally. I was elected to lead, not read. Well, couldn't have said it better. So, meanwhile, Nova trying to shield the ship from having to deal with too much of similar energy problems needs to modulate the shields. So, Nova, with her focus on shields, is probably one of the better people to do this.
Am I allowed to assist on this one again?
I don't know.
After this, does Nova want to do it herself, or does she?
Does it make it more of a daring test if I allow it?
Yeah, you can use daring if you want to just go do it quickly before Andrews comes over and watches this as well.
Come on, I've only rolled one die tonight. Let me roll another.
So far, your dice are 100% complications.
I'll allow it.
Okay, yeah. There we are. So Andrews helped by not helping.
Sad it is, that's an improvement.
So Nova, I'm happy for you to justify whichever attributes and disciplines you want to use. Shaun.
I think daring engineering makes the most sense as she just tries wild combinations until something sticks.
Yeah. Okay then.
It's the nerves for Andrews as promotion is starting to loom.
Yeah.
Can't do this. Deliberately fuck it up. Deliberately fuck it up.
That's 2 F-bombs, which means we've now hit our 12A quota. So there we are. 2 successes. So that was on the bean of what you needed. So yeah, shields have now been remodulated after Nova cycles through a number in quick succession, trying to find which one seems to shield the ship systems the most. The fact that this should have been an easier job, but somebody made it very difficult to work, since it was getting awfully stifling in the bridge. So Nova had to wipe sweat out of her eyes a couple of times, but managed to speed through the different shield frequencies before settling on the one that seems to work. So that's good. Shields have been modulated successfully. So now we move over to the power systems, which will need to be reconfigured in order to deal with the strange energy output of the anomaly in the Madrigal system. So this is going to be Vibers, as I recall.
Yep.
Well, if we want people to roll equally, we could have it that Edwards is just in the right place at the right time.
Yeah,
off the
absolutely.
bridge, if people are happy with that, or carry on with.
Yeah, happy with that.
Because, you know, Vibers and Edwards are used to working together, so it's very much a case of...
Say, aren't I somewhere else? So with Bravo security.
You could be at the right place at the right time.
Okay.
I'm fine
you
with
just
that.
happened to be at the right EPS conduit where I needed you to press a button.
Plus, being stationed to security, Lieutenant Bravo, being head of security, would have needed to stay in the security office, but would, with communications down, would have probably sent runners to the different departments to try, while communications were down, to find out what was going on. So, Edwards could very well be security's, you know, runner. Message boy relay in on the bridge. So.
Oh, this is where he has to make a fitness roll first, see if he gets there.
If he gets, then he's too shagged out. Oh, maybe. But for now, I'm just willing for him to do his assist on the power systems engineering role to get things.
What do we need to roll?
What's the chief engineer think?
Let's see.
You're trying to.
I think, looking at his one, reason and engineering is probably a nice one, and I'll do control. Effectively, I've got him at the right conduit keeping an eye on it while I'm tweaking the values.
Alright, so he's detailed 1 success. You need 1 more to make this a successful task. Right. Okay, so you successfully managed to reconfigure the power systems. What happens with that complication? Well, we'll see.
I
It's gonna be
That
fine.
conduit's reporting 100% success. Well, 150 actually, but that must be a difference.
Yeah, it's getting rather warm in that conduit at the moment. Edwards to fibers. This is supposed to be glowing that brightly, right?
Yeah, it's fine. I need you in the next conduit.
Where is the knowledge bluff?
What bluff? This is not paying attention.
Right.
Get it started as quickly as possible. It doesn't matter if it's quick and dirty, providing it starts.
So yes, the interference being given off by the anomaly is interfering with navigational sensors and sensors in general, especially due to the fact that you discovered the hard way that sensors seem to create a sympathetic energy path for whatever the anomaly is putting out to travel back into your ship's systems. So, with the power systems reconfigured, your chief Helm officer can now try and reconfigure the navigational sensors to get them to work. So, Jan, do you want to suggest? I mean, control makes sense because you're using your panel to try and rejig things around. Con makes sense because it's the navigational deflector. You've got astronavigation. And Helm.
If either astronavigation or Helm operation would work, then I'll use those.
Okay. Do you want to fly solo, or does Keval think he needs a bit of assistance from someone somewhere?
Well, I don't mind assistance at all. It really feels like lending a hand or claw.
Claude could lend a hand, what with needing targeting sensors online. So
I can control and con rather than be presence and command.
good. Go on, why not?
Control, con.
Keval gets 3 successes, 1 over and above what you needed.
Oh my god!
Okay. So, you know, Andrews is suggesting plans of action that are basically by the book. So,
And
you know,
Keval's ignoring them.
Keval's very much a case of, yep, fine. Thanks for saying that, but I already knew that because I'm already doing it. And, manages to reconfigure the navigation and the navigational sensors and sensors in general. So there are now actual returns again.
I'll update you on the new protocols, Commander.
Thank you, Commander.
Right, it's at that point that, let me see. There's an alert on sensors. As, yes, Natala notes that there appears to be a cloud of stellar debris coming in from outside the system, apparently drawn in by the gravity of the anomaly. And they are coming in big and fast. But it's just as well that you got navigational sensors back online, because you've got a whole load of massive chunks of frozen methane gas coming in. So, Captain Ducasse orders basically Helm to start evasive maneuvers, get us out of the path of the incoming stellar debris. So, I am going to make this a small work track of its own. Let's see. Now, the difficulty should usually be 2 brought down, but to 1 for Keval, because he's so awesome. But counteracting that is going to be the sluggish response you're going to get due to the due to the way that the power systems were configured in an interesting way. So as soon as power starts getting shunted into the maneuvering thrusters and the impulse engines, Keval starts noticing that they're not responding as fast as they should be. Obviously, there's some kind of some of the conduits overload.
Someone overrode the surge protectors. Screwdrivers in the fuse box.
Not fuse box.
Yeah,
not
screwdrivers in the not fuse box. It's just a big sign that says not fuses.
So this is going to be difficulty back up to difficulty 2. So it went from 2 down to 1, back up to 2 again. So if we can get some control and con or Helm operations from Keval with some assistance from the ship. So I don't know, Webby, do you want a chance being the ship, or should we give the ship to somebody else?
Can we target some of these things with our lasers to sort of make it easier to avoid them?
Okay, so you can also, in that case, probably get Claude to assist as well in that regard. To try and, as you say, blow some debris out of the path. Yeah, okay, that's fine with me. So I'm going to want somebody to be the ship and somebody to be Claude.
I'm going to go up in the ship.
Cool. The ship
I'll be
will
Claude
probably
then.
want engines and con as an assist.
I remember where the ship is now.
If you go to the actors directory under the folder USS
There we
Navis
are.
crew and ships, there you go.
Ships.
Who wants to be
It's-
Claude?
I take the
Cool.
What's the role again, please?
Probably engines and con.
That's already set up.
control security, starship weapon systems. and
Yep,
so on.
that'll do.
Ah,
Okay, so the Navis is having trouble, Keval is having no trouble, and Claude manages to blow quite a few large chunks of basically ice out of the way, so that makes it easier for the Navis and his pilots to avoid. I am going to... ordinarily that would cost you 1 power, but that can be brought back reasonably quick. Pew, 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 indeed. So that was no successes, 2 successes, 2 successes, 4. Okay, so that's most of the work done, but there's still some outliers on the edge of the debris field, so you're going to have to do that one more time. So once again, it makes sense for Commander Thazanan to be the lead. The ship to also assist in the same manner that it just did. Claude's going to assist again as well, apparently, so that's 2 successes. 1 success and a complication from the Navis. Right, okay.
that hovers up the damn too.
So you use 1 power to do the last one, you're using 2 power to do that one, thanks to the increased power drain that all of a sudden is going on. As Keval finds he has to fight the controls again to try and get this thing to maneuver around, but luckily Claude's on the case. So the 2 aces of the Navis, working together, managed to avert catastrophe as the last few pieces of the debris field pass by. Oof. But Claude saved Fleshback's butts as usual. Well, wide. So, yes, that was a rocky ride, and I do mean that as a pun.
Yep.
So there's
Always good for
obviously
the puns.
there's obviously work to do on board the Navis. So a couple of power conduits overloaded, which fed power to the impulse engines. So looks like engineering have got their work sorted for the next however long. Now then.
Fine, just need a quick look.
Accessing library computer data.
In the meantime, Natala has another look at the Natala has a look at the sensor scans of the system, and she reports back that they're still not able to get very accurate scans about what's going on in regards to the anomaly. So Natala recommends launching a probe. Now, the probe will probably need to be reconfigured since it will need its power systems and sensors reconfigured. The captain thinks this is a good idea. What do the other guys think?
Sounds fine to me.
Okay, so we're going to need probably engineering to fix us up, but since engineering are going to be busy, how about we get Nova, since she managed to successfully reconfigure shields. She can try and reconfigure the shield systems on board the probe with some help from Natala, unless somebody else can think of someone else to help. Maybe Edwards.
It is traditional for the first officer and the science officer to be sitting opposite each other trying to do surgery on a torpedo as it goes down the racks. So...
Fine by me, Doctor, to the torpedo bay. Come on, Doctor. Let's go. What's the worst that could happen?
We need a steady hand.
With the sheer amount of complications that have been coming thick and fast so far, I'd say quite a lot.
It's double
Right,
complications.
We never
The
did say
torpedo
where
tube
that-
gets
where that-
depressurized.
We never
Right.
did say where that conduit was. That was overloaded.
I'll take some Bertram moss with me in case there's some sort of overload and I need to siphon off power fast.
As it happens, Doc Bertram, yeah, it could just as easily be that Andrew says, you know what, engineering have got their hands full at the moment. Let's give them a hand. Doc, you know power systems, right?
I'm familiar with them.
It's a hands-on training session for Ed. So you might hear him communicating along you and the doctors doing engineering.
It's a complete. It's opposite day.
Well, does that mean you're the changeling today?
One of these days, if you guys amass enough complications in one session, I might have to introduce.
With Shackleton as a change.
I thought about to say you might actually have to change me into a changeling.
Give me
We
time. I'll fix it.
change you to a changeling.
That wouldn't be a complication, that would be a success.
Yeah, that'd be successful. We prove you as a changeling.
Everyone's like, I knew it.
Someone rolls 8 successes in a row. It's like changeling.
Thanks.
Or Keval. Right. So who's doing the work on the probe?
I really do
Sounds
want
like
to do
Bertram
the
and
Doctor
Nova.
commanding.
Okay.
First
Off you go. Whoever wants to be lead.
I'll let the Doc lead.
Okay. Apparently I'm leading then. What do I need to roll for this?
Let's see. Something a bit out of your wheelhouse, but reason and engineering will do me fine.
Can plasma
Control.
power systems work as a
Yeah.
focus?
Absolutely.
Control
Yay.
and security. You know me.
What, you're going to punch it into place?
No, I'm not going to punch it. There'll be fitness. It's sort of like it's having a steady hand and
Punch it,
knowing how a
Andrews.
torpedo
Which
works.
strike works.
No,
Ah,
I'm fine with that.
crap.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good with security, since you do have to fire the thing.
Starfleet protocols as a foci.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're assisting, so only one
complication.
dice.
Yeah.
Okay.
In my defence, I'm a doctor, not an engineer.
So,
I'd roll
yeah.
4 die and then let me.
You need to make that your value or something like.
I've
Damn it, I'm a
actually,
doctor, not a.
I've actually got a talent. I'm a doctor, not a commander.
No, just leave it blank so you can use it for all situations.
Andrews has rolled 4 die, and her lowest is a 15. I rolled claw twice and got 2 4s.
So, the doctor and the first officer put together the probe as best as they are able to, and hand it over to security in order to assign to work together to fire. Okay. Probe is loaded and launched. The probe starts bringing back interesting telemetry. There's definitely an unusual power signature which does match the frequency encountered before on places like, Bacchus 4. But then, once the probe gets to within a certain distance of the anomaly, the feed cuts out. So, the probe is no longer bringing data back. So, yes, Natala reports that thanks to the problems the Navis is now having with its systems as a result of what's happened, probably sending the Navis itself in to retrieve the probe is probably not the best idea. However, you do have runabouts. So, the captain recommends that, yeah, indeed, the EXO can suggest a team to ride along in one of the runabouts to try and retrieve the probe and see if it's still workable.
Oh no, that's the point. Are we still butchered the Californian for sort of like for additional core parts, or has that been repaired now?
Well, that's weeks ago.
Wasn't the Yeah. Which one was it we crashed into the ground and was still in repair?
No, well, that's probably been repaired by now, and that's the Carpathia.
Yeah, Carpathia's fully working.
Yes, we are not flying the Carpathia.
Last time I flew something, it went all right. We haven't wrecked a ship in at least, I think, was it 2 episodes?
It's been at least a week.
There's a part I hate the Californian, but there's a part of me that's like, as soon as we pick the Carpathia, it's going to crash.
Let me see, when was the last time you crashed?
When I flew.
Last time I flew, I got it right.
Keval, the choice is yours. California.
Well, a while ago, actually.
Carpathia.
So yeah,
Well,
the 2 runabouts are definitely intact and operational.
Maybe as part of his training, Ensign Edwards should be flying.
That's certainly possible as well.
I wasn't volunteering, but I can give it a go.
Do we trust him with the Californian? With the Carpathia?
That was the last one I flew, I swear.
It probably was, actually, yeah. Right, you can fly the Californian, there we go.
Right, so we've got Edwards. Because of the nature of... Lieutenant Erienne steps forward. Captain, due to the nature of the energy readings, I would like to put myself forward for helping to reconfigure the probe. The captain looks over at her EXO.
I see no reasons against that, Captain.
Okay, so Erienne joins the shuttle team. So, who else wants to go?
I think, are we sending Keval as the sort of like the guide if Edwards is following on training protocol?
Is the chief helmsman willing to go along for this ride, or is he going to stay in control of the Navis?
I can go along, and I'll watch him with both eyes and both
taking copious notes. Right, so let's bring in your helm.
Not Lenny!
Seat warmer.
Oh, poor Ensign Lenny. She just warms the seat.
Anybody else going along?
Do you want me in the group in case there's a medical emergency?
Yeah, blah blah. An operations specialist.
So,
Yeah, let's take Engineer Bravo. Bibles is still on repairs.
okay, Bravo from engineering. Boop, boop. Anybody else?
No, we'll go then as operations.
Nova going in as well?
Yeah, one. You can help with the probe as well. So.
You're a bit quiet. I'm sorry. To me, you're a bit quiet, Shaun, so I can't always hear what you say. Let's see who usually takes your place. It's
It's Latude.
Latude.
Jude!
Or I'd give it to Jenny Eric.
well, there's Jenny as well, yeah.
Although technically, what's her name? Kirist is technical sciences, so.
Cursed? Yeah, sure. From one cat to another.
Yeah. Nova just strokes her behind the ears as she swaps over.
All right then. So, if we jump to the right, so we're using the Californian. That's what it said anyway.
Not Vigo the Carpathian.
Yeah, yeah, we're not using the top eight.
So we're going to be using that runabout. Launch from the Navis, and there's the crew. Right, so let's bring us over. Take off that for now.
Oh, those complications have thrown us into space.
I'm just keeping the tokens close, obviously, in case you guys need to make individual checks regarding with them. I'll keep them close to the Californian for the moment. Okay. So, well, we're going to assume that the Californian also had its systems reconfigured before it was launched. The last position of the probe was somewhere off in this area. So that makes the most logical choice to proceed. So, well, it's all going well, Miss Webb. It's 4 miners and you crash into a protostar. So, off we go. So the Californian, well, I won't require anybody to make any kind of piloting checks or anything until...
Because we all know Keval will just pass them anyway.
Well, Keval's not the primary flyer in this case. So, let's move you guys closer to where the probe was last seen. So, we're going to need somebody to make a sensor check using the Californian, but obviously it's going to have to the sensor's going to have to be altered somewhat because of the sheer amount of interference being given off, because you are at the edge of the anomaly's sphere of interference.
Sounds Nova-ish.
Sounds Nova-ish. I can go with that. So, what are we doing here? We're basically altering the power systems in a way, aren't we? Inner workings will do.
Okay.
So, what do we think? Control and science, or control and engineering? I'm happy for you to choose, Shaun.
I'll go engineering then.
Okay.
Re-engineer things.
It's good for me. The difficulty will be 2. Because you're having to fight a lot of interference. Two successes on the money. Well done. So, yes, reconfiguring the sensors. Nova starts an active scan for the probe, and you do find it. It's actually the leading edge of where you last saw it. It half drifted, so it looks like the interference from the anomaly kind of knocked out its systems. You could either try and tractor beam it, or somebody could go in an EV suit and alter it from there.
And that's a volunteer.
Nova's already half inside it.
Yeah,
Literally
so-
trying to be one.
I mean, Lieutenant Turin also volunteers to go and help because she's read up on the energy patterns and other stuff that you guys encountered in the Bacchus system and various other things. So she's willing to help. If anybody else wants to come out in an EV suit and try and work on the probe,
This is the one the doctor's already worked on, because I mean we could use an expert.
well, there you go.
5% anyway.
It's starting to sound like Bravo should really come out and give you a hand, because then at
Okay.
least one engineer's seen this probe since it left Space Dock.
So let's take you 3 over to there, then, where the probe is going to be at. Okay, so we're just going to go under the assumption rather than go all the way to the items menu and jam those on. We're going to assume that you have got EV suits. So it's judged that the amount of interference being given off by the anomaly, even at this range, might interfere with transporters. So it's probably safe just to do a regular spacewalk. Just exit the runabout via one of its pressurized doors and enter into space that way. The moment that Bravo and Turin and Nova exit into space, their EV suit systems start to fluctuate wildly. So I'm gonna need somebody to try and quickly start stabilizing the EV suits.
Daring and engineering?
Daring and engineering will do me. Does Nova want to help?
Yeah, no.
Yep. Focus of inner workings will help here. The difficulty is going to be 2. You've already met it, so whatever Nova generates is going to be gravy. 1 success, 1 over what you needed. Awesome. So that extra success means that you are able to stabilize your own and Turin's suits quickly before anybody passes out from the fact that the life support system of the EV suits malfunctions and cuts off your air supply. So it's a tense minute while you have to quickly do a patch job on the EV suits to get them to cope with the energy being given off by the anomaly, but you do manage it. And so you're now able to use the thrusters on the EV suits to maneuver very carefully up to the probe. So now you just need to reactivate the probe. If Andrews wants to, she can try and suggest a course of action using command in order to assist.
Yeah. Why not?
That's been going so well for you so far.
Presence and command again?
Yeah, sure.
Starfleet protocol?
Yep.
Yeah.
So does Bravo want to take the lead on this, or does Nova, since Nova has been doing pretty well with this so far?
Nova's is the power expert.
Okay, yep, cool. So, Nova, neither control and engineering or daring and engineering, whichever one you think you want to go with.
It's gotta be daring.
Okay, that's good. That's good. This will be difficulty 2. So you've already accrued 1, you just need 1 more. Again, 1 over and above what you needed. Working very well today. So you managed to bring the probe's systems back online, and you are getting consistent, clear readings. So the probe definitely picked up some interesting energy readings. Looking at the readout, Lieutenant Turin furrows her brow in that Vulcan way of, I'm trying not to show that I'm curious, but I'm curious. And she Yeah, she pipes up over the comms. Commander, the probe appears to have picked up some anomalous energy wave coming from somewhere in the system. The probe sensor, however, doesn't quite know what to make of it. I would suggest potentially recalibrating the sensor on the probe to lead us to this energy waveform.
Any objections from those out there with you?
Any objections indeed?
I like to encourage this sort of thing.
Nice. Okay. So, this time Lieutenant Turin will offer to assist because she's going to use her astrophysics to assist, but whoever wants to take the lead can certainly do so. I mean, she's okay with daring and engineering. She's probably better with reason and engineering. Does Nova want to take the lead in this, or does Bravo? In fact, that's a good point.
Probably should take the lead in this one. We can't let Nova cast all the credit. It's gonna go to a head.
Yeah. Whoops-a-daisy, I just brought that down.
So, damage control and repair count?
Electroplasma systems would probably work just as well. Team management as well, actually, because it's coordinating. So, feel free. Gareth, do you want to be Turin? Or Jan, do you want to be Turin?
Okay, I'll be Turin.
Whoever hasn't rolled, or Alex can be Turin. Who hasn't rolled recently?
Possibly me. Again, I did roll for the ship and it went so well.
So, if you want to chance it, you can beat her in, or do you want to pass it to somebody else?
That's a good point. Who's tracking who's rolled what, or who's rolled the most?
I am tracking. You are currently bottom, then Jan, then me, then Shaun, then...
Okay, what
Gareth,
is it? Daring
Navis.
plus something else, did you say?
It's engineering, yeah.
Daring plus engineering. This should be interesting.
She has a focus as well that she's using for astrophysics, so...
And she's assisting, isn't she?
She's assisting, so just rolling one, so yeah.
Oh.
2 successes. Rolled an exact one, so that's 1 over and above what was needed. Alright, so, both Bravo and Turin working on the probe reconfigure its sensors, and you are able to get a reading on the waveform. Lieutenant Turin patches the waveform information back to the Californian, and she says, using these sensor calibrations, should be able to bring up a representation of the waveform on sensors so that we can better represent what we're looking at. As a result, as soon as she does that, you get the image of like this wavy line of how best to describe it? Well, basically what you're seeing there on the screen. Strange wave of energy seems to be originating from a very definite point in space and is traveling towards the anomaly. Now the probe itself has been fixed, but seeing as you brought a runabout all the way here, you may as well keep using it. So the guys with the probe can probably be best served bringing the probe back on board so that you can actually take the runabout to wherever is generating this energy wave. Or energy string, whatever you want to call it. Lieutenant Turin definitely thinks it's artificial because it's too... It doesn't have enough of the random chaotic elements that would go into making something that's more naturally occurring. And considering the successes that Bravo had on reconfiguring the probe with Turin, he would definitely agree. without any further ado, we are going to this time actually ask for a piloting check. Piloting task, I should say, from the pilot, whether or not aided by the co-pilot, Commander Thazanan, but definitely aided by the Carpathian. So this is going to be Edwards' piloting role. This is going to be control and con. But the ship, the California, is also going to aid with engines and con. Whoever wants to be the ship, runabout.
I shall aid as well.
Okay, so Thazanan can aid. So who? Shaun, you can be the Californian. So no successes there. So yeah, Keval's making sure that he doesn't aid Edwards too much.
Yeah. So engines and cons.
Engines and con, please. Yes.
I'm more testing to see if he's doing the right thing.
Well, exactly. So Keval's there pretending to input commands, whilst looking expectantly over at Edwards. All right, cool. So let me take those drawings away. So as Edwards guides the Californian in, there is a judder and a jolt as you hit some gravitational eddies being given off by the anomaly, and you do manage to make your way to where the energy stream seems to be originating from, with no damage to the Californian, but it does require some power from the engines to navigate that gravitational eddy, so you do get there eventually. What you see when you get there, you come across what looks to be definitely an artificial satellite. And I have neglected to... what it was that you saw. Where are these things? So, let's see. Modify the probe sensors to activate the scanning. Sorry, I'm trying to read through my notes to find the bit relevant to what you're doing. So, yes, what you find is this strange, very definitive artificial satellite. It's like a moon, but definitely been comprised of engineered materials. And there appears to be a sizable dish-like area, for lack of a better word, on the moon from which the energy stream seems to be emanating. Fascinating, says Lieutenant Erienne. Commander, with your permission, it would probably be wise for a team to beam onto the satellite in order to get a better look at the mechanism generating the waveform.
Yes. I think we relay all information to date back to the Navis first. I assume that we are in comms with...
Yeah. Its comms are a little bit spotty, but you've managed to get over the majority of the interference. Excuse me, by now.
If there's
so.
gravimetric distortion, I'm cautious about using transporters. I would be more accustomed to using the Californian. But open to opinions from the crew.
See how close they can get it without crashing.
In
Give it a go.
response to this word of California Californian doing something on comms. Vipers is going to make sure the Carpathian is ready to launch.
Okay. So, you wanting to make a touchdown with the Californian? Alright then.
I think that would be safer than transporting, especially for a
Yes.
gravimetric distortions. We don't have any pattern buttons or anything like that.
Okay. Righty ho. So, we're going to require a landing by the pilot, so it's going to be another control plus con, aided by the ship's engines and con. Shouldn't require much of an energy expenditure. One success. That was what you needed, so anything else is gravy. So,
Is this
yes,
gravy?
I'll assist with any difficult one.
Yep. Cool. Yep, you can assist. Who else has not rolled in a while? Or hasn't rolled much?
Alex is at 7?
Well, Alex is doing the piloting, so...
17, 2, 5, 2. So I'm at 7, Jan's at 7, Jan's not there. So I'm at 7th now.
Sounds like you
Gareth
then.
hasn't rolled for a while though, but
Oh, okay.
9. So. Go on, G-Man.
Sorry, who did you want?
You want
Is this the Californian? Yep.
Engines and con, please, to help guide it down onto the satellite. One success, so that's fine. All together, everybody, and including the ship, managed to cooperate so that you'll manage to land on the satellite with no problems whatsoever. So, as a result, you're able to anyone who wants to can exit the ship in EV suits. Now that you've had problems with the EV suits over and done with, any further EV suits can be reconfigured easily enough before they are taken out. So, who wants to go on a spacewalk onto the satellite?
Can't kiddies, let's all go.
Everybody?
Okay.
I think maybe Keval should stay.
Okay.
And the,
Come on, kiddies, let's all go.
So yeah, Andrews pretty much seems to be coaxing, not ordering everybody off.
Yeah, it's fine if people want to stay on board, then we'll stay. But I think we should leave Turin so that she's piloting the.
If it's all the same to you, Commander, Lieutenant Turin goes, part of my reason for being seconded to the Navis was to help study xenoarchaeological artifacts, and this definitely qualifies. If I had your permission.
This is opposite day, so you're in charge of con on the Californian now.
you realize she's got a con of 0.
Precisely. That's what...
You see, I'm holding in some in-character sass, because, like, out of character, it's like, wasn't the reason because you didn't have a commissioned officer that could do that? No, you
There's
take
that too.
But
At
now,
the moment,
you
do not have a commissioned officer currently set to the xenoarchaeological and archaeotechnological
good point. So I'm
department.
going through the training. Yeah.
Especially because at this moment, Ensign Edwards is currently seconded to security.
Yeah, damn it. Oh well.
Therefore, in regards to this little mission, he is, how do you say, the muscle? And she gives Edwards a look up and down.
God.
Right,
Edwards is
Turin, would you
still
like
able
us
to
would
do
you like some
Indiana
privacy? Lieutenant Turin, Mr. Edwards,
I was
would you like
merely
us to-
judging his physical state for the fitness of his current posting.
Like the amount of sets coming off from a Vulcan.
Not very much.
Yeah,
Is what you get. What you'll be seeing.
Is there a sense of sort of like blushing in the Vulcan?
No, she's a Vulcan.
Nova. How's she feeling?
If Nova really wants to, I mean, hell, if Bravo as well wants to help, really want to try with the, what do I usually do for Betazoid? things. It's insight and command.
You'd be getting a please, for the love of God, don't kind of look from Edwards.
Oh, Andrews is enjoying this. You're going to be put through your paces.
It has to be done.
Nova does 1 success. Bravo does 1 success. Okay, so what Bravo and Nova both get is Edwards' oh dear God, no please. Whereas
Wait, he's speciest?
no,
He's changeling.
it's more the embarrassment. Whereas Turin, no, there's no. Excuse me. My face chose to explode at that exact moment. Whereas with Turin, it's there's no sexual interest from Turin in regards to Edwards. In fact, Bravo, being a telepath, it was actually a Vulcan's attempt at sass. She's been observing you guys for a while, and she thought she'd give it a go. She's not entirely sure how successful she was, so she's just kind of waiting to see what everybody's response is. So Nova gets a little bit of expectation coming off of Turin.
Bravo, cool as a cucumber, winks in Edwards' direction, and then walks ahead of the group to investigate.
You're in there.
Nothing said at all.
And now Edwards thinks that Bravo's coming onto him.
He is that used.
We've not actually confirmed whether the Bravos kind of like, you know, because they're all kind of like telepathically linked. If they have feelings of other people, or will it get weird? Which Bravo am I associating with? We are all identical. We are Bravo.
You know, there's 6 of them, and one is one just hangs around in the bar all day, right?
Bar Bravo.
Bar Bravo.
I'd say, would it be more of one that sits in the cabin and absorbs the other one's drunkenness?
I want Mr. Minoko to be a Bravo now.
That is a good point,
Secretly
actually.
a Bravo.
Something I neglected to do. The general rule is whenever a supporting character is brought into an adventure and this is not their first appearance, they do get to have something of their character boosted in some fashion. So Bravo is actually due. We've already upped one of his attributes. We've already added a new focus. The options he has available are he can be given a value. He can be... one of his disciplines can be put up. He can be given an additional focus, or he can be given a single talent. So I don't know if any of those, anything come to mind for him right now, if we want to save that for later, perhaps.
I think he needs the value we are Bravo, and it just allows him to...
Thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
What would that
Use a
do?
determination, so he can use a determination point if it relates to something else that a Bravo has a focus on.
Oh, I like that.
Using other Bravo's focuses. Interesting. I am going to go with that, but it has a prerequisite. He will need a value first, otherwise he can't use determination. So we will put a pin. We will put a pin in that talent.
That's good.
But it can't be used until he's got a value.
Yeah, that we were saying was, well, Shaun said it was a value. We put it in as we are Bravo as a value.
That fits as a talent because that is like the Bravo version of joined.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
So, do you want the value we are Bravo? Or something a bit more descriptive? Probably better for a value.
I'm happy for it to be a talent.
Yeah, I think it's a talent. We have to do it as a talent.
So in order to use that talent, he's going to need a value first. So before he can actually get that talent, he needs a value. So you're going to have to come up with a value for him.
We share everything.
The good thing about values are they're supposed to have positive and negative connotations, and I can see how that having some serious negative connotations.
Excuse me, Captain. We have an opening hail from the USS Excelsior from the past on screen. Oh my!
How about shared experiences as a value? Oh, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
No, actually, it kind of does make sense because you're accruing experiences in order to share them. No, I can go with that.
And the challenge
we
is
share
that
experience.
when he gets told to keep his mouth shut.
So, this value represents the time that Engineer Bravo has been brought back. This time, has been brought back as a supporting character. The next time he appears, that'll be when we'll be able to actually give him the talent We Are Bravo and use it. Okie dokie. I'll take the silence as a yes. Alright then. So there we are. He has a value, which means he has determination. As a supporting character, he only has 1 determination, but I thought I'd just show the full determination bar. So... babies are all growing up. Right then. Okay. So, you are having a spacewalk on the satellite.
Does anyone wish to remain behind up at Keval?
Does anybody want to stay behind? I mean, the Doctor isn't necessarily necessary to this.
He might be. We might be stuck inside this thing and dying.
Well, there's that.
Well, you do have Nova with you, so.
Whenever Nova is on a space mission, especially in EVA suits, the Doctor is coming.
Right. Good point. Okay, so it looks like just Bravo is the one staying on the ship, which is probably for the better.
Wow.
Sorry. Yes, that's 1 threat down.
Yay!
Goodbye, 1 threat. I misnamed somebody.
Oh,
down goes the threat.
We're going to get back to the ship now saying we are Keval.
There's only one Keval.
There really is. Alright. Suiting up.
The 5 in the transporter buffer.
Very good. More.
About the 5 in the transporter buffer, he's not supposed to know about them.
Oh, sorry. 4
The
in the transporter
replacement.
buffer. And the one that's escaped.
Has he not figured out that every single one of our runabouts is piloted by a Keval?
Whenever one of them crashes, it gets replaced.
Yeah, he just
Keval's
opened the
still
door.
on shift on the bridge. He hasn't clicked yet.
There's always a Keval on the bridge.
It's by Keval's own orders.
Oh dear.
No one else is allowed to pilot.
Yeah, that's true. Anywho's. Right then, so a group of 6 of you are going out onto the satellite. There's no atmosphere, as you might well expect. There is gravity, but it's about 0.7 of Earth gravity, so obviously you're able to take leaping bounds if you want to, but don't leap too high, otherwise you're going to end up drifting off into space. 1 small step for Starfleet, down here for Bravo kind. Well, quite. Whereas Nova would just say, whee! As she disappears into space. Not that I'm suggesting that that's exactly what Nova would do, because it's Shaun's character, but that's just what the hell. But anyway. Yes, the only obvious feature beside let me start again. The ground beneath your feet is definitely some sort of artificial. It's definitely artificial because it's all metallic, and there are lots of the familiar kind of circuitry that runs between the various. They're almost like deck plates that have been laid down for footing. You found no obvious way of gaining access to the internal gubbins of the satellite, but you put down very close to what looks like some kind of extremely large emitter array that has a number of curving pylons on its periphery, which seem to be what is directing the energy beam into the anomaly. There are no obvious controls for this thing. So for the moment, what would you like to do?
Just start scanning it, just trying to see what kind of, I suppose, materials it's made of, and also trying to see what exactly it's doing, I suppose.
Okay. So
What we're here for, trying to work out what it is and what it's doing.
Right. So, having a look at stuff. Let's actually put you on the things here. I don't think you're drifting in space. Actually, no. The Doctor is going to be very close to Nova, so let's swap a few people around. Okay. Nova's got her two minders either side. Let's see, anybody who wants to then can give me a control and science. In fact,
Can I use my foci?
Tyrin will probably assist with her own control and science with xenoarchaeology. So anybody who hasn't rolled in a while can take up the part of Tyrin.
Oh, that hovered on the one again.
Who hasn't rolled in a bit?
Do you want me to roll?
Oh, Jan could, since Jan's kind of stuck in the ship.
Oh, yeah. That's fair.
Control and science.
Please. Just one dice, she's only assisting, and she's using xenoarchaeology as 3 results. 3 successes, rather, I should say. Excellent. Okay. So... this thing is got a power source that's located what seems to be in the center of the thing. There are definitely no obvious controls, but there do appear to be a number of what you would equate to be antennae. Obviously transmitter receivers of some kind on the periphery of the large, what do I call it? I guess this sensor dish that's that the waveform is emanating from. So there are some form of communication antennae attached to the periphery of the dish as well. The waveform frequency is very, very similar to that encountered before with every piece of technology regarding the ancient lost race to do with the five-sided monoliths that you've been coming across a lot. What the waveform appears to be doing, however, is difficult to determine. Again, the sheer amount of energetic interference being given off by the anomaly is interfering with any definite scans of what it could be doing to the anomaly. So Lieutenant Tyrin suggests that maybe some modification of the tricorders to try, or anything really, to try and use the sensor receivers on the satellite to maybe try and alter the waveform in some way so that it's more readable. Just as an example. Unless anyone can think of anything else they'd like to do. Okay, with that in mind then.
Just giving Nova a toolkit and say, have at it.
Well, if that's what you want to do.
Let me just suggest it. I can't do that as a command. I have a rank now. I can't suggest these things. So,
you know. Well, you can suggest them, just whether or not, you know, the guys in charge choose to follow it or not is, well, you can also say, you know, permission to permission to offer a suggestion, sir. And then it's up to Andrews whether or not
Yeah,
to entertain it.
I imagine Nova probably would have already thought of at least along these lines by now.
He definitely wants to dismantle this thing. See how it works.
Okay. Can I get a test then from Nova? Let's see, what's probably the best way of going about this? Pulling things apart is definitely going to be daring. And probably engineering. Just
There's
to
going to be
get
some sort of internal or hatch get internally. Something.
It is somewhat suspicious that you haven't found any kind of such entrance method. It's got to be something, otherwise this thing, you know, how would someone who built something this big maintain it?
Exactly.
And if it doesn't need maintaining, how does that work, you know? Sorry, Davis, you were saying?
Nova, did you bring Hello?
No, she wouldn't have willed it on this. It's just an excursion.
Yeah, this wasn't exactly the kind of thing you could just pick up your multi-crystal AI device for a quick trip in a runabout. He's probably back on the ship. Plus, yeah, you're not exactly sure what this kind of energetic radiation would do to Hello, considering what it did to the ship. So that's, yeah, that's a question to consider. Either way, if Nova wants to try and get at the gubbins of the satellite, that's, you can make an attempt. If anybody wants to assist, they can make an attempt.
I'm going to throw in a determination on how does this work.
Okay. I'm going to make this a difficulty 2, which you've already got from the determination, so anything else you add is going to be gravy on top. I'm actually going to add 1 threat to make the complication range double. So it's a 19 and 20 now. Woohoo! 4 successes. Alright, so Nova does get at a panel, and one of the floor panels, and is able to open it up, which of course means that she's now got a number of very interested people crowding around what she's opened up, and everyone's very interested to have a look, but being the one with her face actually down in the gubbins of the technology, Nova has a good look around. This thing being immense as it is, you've got your head in only what looks like some kind of what's the best way I can think about describing this? One of the many routes the wiring takes to get to various parts of whatever mechanism is driving this thing. But from what you can see, yeah, this thing has got a pretty impressive some form of like gravity drive, which is keeping it in a fixed position in the system. The emitter itself is definitely using up a massive amount of power. But with that many successes, I will say that you realize, just from having a quick look around and a scan of the power systems that you're looking at, the satellite more than likely came online 15 weeks ago, round about that kind of time. And what happened 15 weeks ago was you were down on that planet that had so much electromagnetic interference that none of your technology worked, and you met those species of hunter-gatherers, the woman and her daughters who took you to their village.
I remember that.
You remember that? And they had the problem with the fact that the monolith was giving off radiation and mutating members of their community. If this is now starting to ring a bell.
Yeah.
if you remember at the end of that, when you eventually solved the problem of what was going on, there was the pylons, the monoliths, pardon me, were generating electricity because there was electromagnetic interference because it was trying to send out a signal which was just looping and looping and looping in on itself. But eventually you managed to shut it off. But the impression you got was that it was some kind of intergalactic comms array. Intergalactic? No, intersystem comms array. And it was transmitting some form of communication. And then, of course, you turned it on. But the activation of this satellite would seem to correspond with when you turned off the broadcast comm array on that planet. So, Lieutenant Turin at this point pipes up saying, if there's indeed some link to everything that we've been displaying so far, why would this satellite suddenly come online and... Well, Commander, if I may posit a hypothesis, it would seem that the anomaly might very well be generated by whatever it is this satellite is doing. Although I would potentially need to corroborate that hypothesis. Do I have your permission to attempt to reorientate our tricorders to scan to see if I can determine what effects this satellite is having on the anomaly?
I see no concerns. I'm concerned, though, that it was 15 weeks this satellite became active.
Indeed, Commander, and perhaps being able to analyze what it is this satellite is doing in regards to the anomaly might shed some light on what its intention is. I will more than likely need Ensign Edwards' assistance with the recalibration due to his familiarity with the technology in question.
Permission to aid, Commander?
Sorry, what was that?
So Lieutenant Turin's basically asking for permission to actually do the thing that she wants to do.
Yeah.
And Edwards is actually requesting permission to aid, Commander.
Granted.
Okay, so somebody else who hasn't rolled in a while can be Turin taking charge of this particular endeavor.
I'm 7, the answer. Yeah. Could be me.
So, yep, can be Turin.
You are
Using her focus of xenoarchaeology because she's actually scanning to see what effects the satellite is actually having, using her knowledge of what she's learned and what you guys have learned. And Edwards can do something similar.
Science?
Sorry?
Reason and science?
Yep, that can work as well.
Using
Okay. 2 successes. Alright. So, the tricorders are altered, and the tricorders are altered as requested, and Lieutenant Turin starts scanning the array to try and determine what it is that's actually going on. As soon as she does, the Nova notices, with her head still very much, I imagine, buried in the... Indeed. Nova still with her head down in the gubbins of the workings of the satellite. She suddenly notices that the humming coming from within increases output, and some of the energy conduits begin to glow brighter as the waveform seems to increase in intensity. And Turin alarmed at this, kind of steps back and goes, Commander, the array appears to be reacting to my scanning of the array. It's just increased its energy output towards the anomaly by a factor of 3. And she turns her tricorder towards outer space, towards the anomaly. The anomaly appears to be reacting. I am picking up increased energy output and gravitational waveforms are coming out of the anomaly. The anomaly appears to be growing. I'm going to change things a bit. I should have had this on since you guys are out on your EV suits. You definitely feel the vibration of the increased energy output from the satellite through your EV suits on your feet. You even get a message now from the Navis. Navis to away team, something's going on with the anomaly. What's going on out there?
I think we would relay the information fully of what we've been undertaking.
All right. According to what Lieutenant Natala, Commander Natala is telling me, the gravitational waves coming out of the anomaly have just increased in intensity. And the anomaly itself is starting to grow. If it continues along its current path, it's going to start affecting all the planets in this system. We need to find some way of shutting that off, Commander.
Noted, Captain. Let's try and reverse what we've just done, shall we, Lieutenant?
Very well, Commander, says Lieutenant Erienne. Keval, whilst this is going on, inside of the runabout, you get an alert. The sensors are detecting a ship coming out of warp.
Commander Andrews, I'm detecting a ship coming out of warp. And I'll relay that to the Navis as well. Navis, I've detected a ship coming out of warp.
Confirmed, Commander. We're reading the same thing. As not far from your position, visible to those on the satellite, an unfortunately familiar ship appears as it comes darting out of warp.
Back in Orion Pirates again.
I would suggest.
Good minds think alike.
Yeah, I don't know. Do we persuade the Navis to engage
Them in mortal combat.
or do we ask for the Californian to drop back? Probably keep the Californian actually, so that it's on this side of the moon.
Also reads that the ship, the black ship, has now turned towards the anomaly and has thrown a lot of power into its main deflector and is reproducing the waveform the satellite is emitting.
Andrews would recommend to the captain that potentially we use the Navis to block the energy transfer.
Right then. So
I'm pretty sure that yeah, I'm pretty sure that fibers could transfer that power to the warp cores.
Right, so I'm going to need a couple of extra characters here. Copy those, bring them over.
And over try and reverse the energy output of this thing to try and send an opposite beam.
Okay. Yep, I'll take that on board. So let's just quickly Keshan to one side. There's the Cap, there's Claude, there's Natala, and there's you guys. So you want to bring the Navis in to try and dissuade the black ship from doing what it's doing while you guys try and do what you're doing down here. Okay, this looks like we're going to go into a form of initiative here, so I'm gonna throw folks into the mix. Did I put Keval in there? I'm not sure I did. Have I got everyone? Have I put anybody in twice? No, I haven't. Excellent.
I might be being stupid. My memory's a bit fuzzy. This isn't the Federation Black Ops ship, is it?
Might very well be.
Okay, it is, but I thought it was.
Ryan Pirates.
So we've got
But
1,
Section
2,
31
3,
doesn't
4,
exist.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 of you. So, who wants to take their action first? Who do you think should go first?
Based off Nova's plan before, I think on the Navis we're probably going to be prepping the deflector to try and put out something that's the opposite of these beams.
So you want either Natala or... Ooh, where's Vibers? Have I put Vibers in?
Natala and Vibers will probably be on that.
Vibers is not in there. I need to add Vibers. Thank you. I knew I'd forgotten somebody. Let's bring Vibers into the mix.
I'd also recommend that probably someone on the Navis is also high up and sending out a emergency open channel communique to Starfleet to say that there is a gravitational anomaly going on and assistance is required.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we can prove that one half of the Federation is doing something dodgy, which it seems that they are by creating a gravitational anomaly and disrupting sort of like a local system, it's kind of like, oh, we've got more cause to go against the ominous black ship.
Oh, and Vibers to Etude. I'd put that protocol in.
Righty-ho. So, Vibers wants to go first in order to try and do something to try and interfere with what's going on. Then these guys get to have a go. Who wants to go next?
And Nova would have a go at trying to reverse the beam off this satellite.
Okay, so that's 17, 16, so that's Nova at 16. I think. Did I count that right? No, I didn't. It's actually 15. One of them gets to go next. 14. Who's next? Probably want to start getting some piloting actions going on so that the Navis can actually get into range. But what were you going to say, Alex?
See, Ed was probably not very high up on the list given the current situation, so I'm happy being further near the back. And if anyone can think of a reason for me being closer.
So, Vibers is going to try and alter the deflector. Nova is then going to try and change what's going on the satellite. Ensign Lenny is going to guide the Navis into range to try and do something. I suppose it comes down to somebody actually using the Navis to do something. Or does somebody on the away team want to also get a turn to try something else in case Nova's idea doesn't work?
Just getting ready to leap on anyone who gets injured. That's his job.
What was that you were saying, Davis?
You can do a suicide run with the Californian with half the crew on board.
Don't tempt me.
I am going to throw in Natala next then. Try and make this as speedy as I can, which means that number 10 is going to be you. After that, let's go with... I don't know, by that point we'll know whether or not things are working, so I'm going to put Andrews next, so you can try and come up with something on the fly. HQ.
Have you guys seen what's happened in Poland, by the way?
Can't say I have.
No, I haven't.
Russia might have just landed a missile in Poland rather than the Ukraine.
Which would accomplish what exactly?
Well, if it was a deliberate attack, it's an escalation, because that's an attack on NATO. If it's an accident, then yeah, Russia's just killed two Poles, so that's going to go.
Oh no! Wow. Okay, that is serious stuff.
Yeah. Something nice for recording.
So, action 5 is going to be you, then 4, and 2, 1, 0. Is that order all right for folks? If you just consult the combat tracker.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Okay.
seems pretty good.
So we'll use that as our guideline as to how we proceed. So we start off with Vibers. Vibers, you're going to try something. So you're going to try and alter the deflector to try and run interference with what the black ship is doing. So suggest to me something, and maybe the ship can help. Oh, actually, no, you're reconfiguring the ship, so the ship can't necessarily help.
So, I'm thinking control and engineering. The aim is to try and you've all done the interference pattern experiments when you were kids, where if you match something as an opposite, it seems to disappear.
So a dissonance wave.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing I'm gonna try and do.
Okay, so you're going to need to get sensor information back from that. So this is going to be something more to do with computers for you at this point. So let's go with, yeah, control and engineering with a focus on computers.
Yep, sounds good. So let me scroll down to see. We've got 3 successes, one over and above what you needed. So you managed to put that together in record time. So yes. What with everything that's been going on with the interference from the anomaly, you've had some rather good experience so far of the energy output that it's been giving out. So trying to create something counter to it, you reckon you've got, excuse me, pretty good idea of how to do it. Well done. Right, so someone on board the opposite ship uses the opportunity to raise shields. Nova. What's Nova going to try and do?
So she's going to try and alter the inner workings, tinker about with the satellite to try and basically change the basic frequency of whatever this is emitting to a complete opposite.
Okay, so you're also trying to create a dissonance wave. Right, cool. Suggest to me the attribute and discipline you want to use, and then the focus.
Well, she's going to do this quickly, so it's going to be daring and engineering with the focus of tinkering and technology experimentation, because she's never done this on this sort of thing before.
I'm all game for that. Very good. I will add 1 threat to make the complication range higher than it usually is, because this has the capacity to go very wrong. Cochrane Medal of Excellence, choose a single focus, and once permission, you the 2 benefits of spending a point of determination instead of 1. Nice. Pushing it to ensure success. And using Star Cross. So it's double your discipline score. Okay, so your discipline score in this regard is usually 5, so it's going all the way up to 10. Cool. Very good. Very good. So on a 10 and under, it's actually 2 successes rather than... Nice.
So
And testing a theory. When using engineering or science, you can roll an additional d20. Okay, cool. So we're using determination, we get a free extra dice, and 10s and unders are count as double successes. Very good. Using all your advantages and awards and talents. 6 massive successes. Well done, Nova.
Because of the double, that doesn't.
So, yeah, nice. What I'm going to say there is that Nova grabs a lot of the wiring and whatnot, and actually changes the direction of the energy feed. So it starts to pull energy out of the anomaly. I can't get the alignment of that extraordinarily well, but you get the idea of where I'm going with that, I hope. Just move the planet a little bit, so I got it online, otherwise my OCD will never forgive me.
Which means it's potentially going to overload.
So, dissonance wave, cancelling out what's going on. Very good. Now, the crew on the opposite ship have just realised that's happening. And as a result, whilst keeping up their wave, they are going to move the ship closer to the satellite. Which means it's now Ensign Lenny going to try and guide the Navis towards the enemy ship. So, we're going to need somebody to take control of Ensign Lenny, and somebody is also going to need to be the ship. The difficulty for this maneuver would ordinarily just be 1, but because you're trying to get near a ship and into a gravitational anomaly, I am going to spend a threat to up the difficulty to 2, and spend another threat to make the complication range higher, because this does have a drastic potential to go wrong. So, whoever wants to be Ensign Lenny on Helm for the Navis, announce yourselves, or get announced according to who has rolled least. Whoever's got the list of who's rolled least.
Jan's at 9, I'm at 9, so I think Jan hasn't rolled for a while, I don't think.
Okay. Jan, take on the role of your replacement. The temporary replacement whenever, you know, the Helm seat warmer, as we call it. And Webby, that means you can be the Navis in that case.
Which is all the way over there. What we need.
This will also take 1 point of power from the Navis in order to engage its engines and roll in this direction.
So we're doing engines and
Con. And, yeah, control and con from Ensign Lenny, please.
Yay!
Wow, that's a lot of successes. Well done. Nope, all of them were very much under. So Ensign Lenny manages to successfully negotiate the Navis past the satellite and in range of the enemy ship. Very nicely done. The other ship, as a result, is now going to lock a tractor beam on the satellite. No. The enemy ship is actually going to try and alter their transporters to get a lock on the away team. So we're going to make an
There's
adjustment.
Claude in the initiative. Claude's like nearby as well, just like Claude's just cracking his fingers like, Quantum's ready.
Right, I got 3 successes on that, which means that the Navis and Keval as well, since he's got the sensor readings on the Californian active, You get the knowledge that they are attempting to gain a pattern lock on the away team. As a result, what would you like Natala to do?
What blocks pattern? What was a natural pattern buffer? We
You
could open
want
the Basard collectors.
you
and
want
that
to
would
try
just
and
flood the
create
area with
some
hydrogen.
form of interference.
Yeah.
Drop a shield over us. Just extend the shield.
Or drop a shield over them to try and extend
Yeah.
the shields. Yeah.
Or just direct. Doing the shield. Sort of
They
like
can't beam them up through shields. If
Yeah,
we fire
yeah.
torpedoes at them, then they're not gonna be.
We don't know. That's
This
the thing.
will take a
because
point
the
of
ship
power.
The ship is not standard.
They're just pirates.
No, I didn't mean to do that. Shh, Meg. I gotta re-add them all. Poop. I did a silly.
Question. Wasn't it like the background energy was making it hard to get a teleportation lock? Was there any way of amplifying the background and radiation that's causing it around their ship specifically?
That's probably what you wanted to do.
So it's just energizing whatever the radiation is in the background.
Yeah, but it's whether we have sort of like we can just readily produce chronometric radiation or I can't remember the others. Tetrion radiation. I mean, it would be.
It's less create and more just giving a
Yeah.
boost to what's already there.
Yeah, but it's still. How do you create more? How do you boost radiation?
The other option is Keval could just charge the Californian at them. Maybe that'll force them to raise shields.
Admittedly, the idea that I've been popping around in my head, which is probably a bad one for us for an incident, is like, why don't we just redirect the energy output that's coming in from the anomaly to around them to specifically reroute that radiation? Not specifically to target at them, but just around them, near them, in the way of them, something like that. It's already drawing in that kind of energy, so what we're on is already absorbing it.
And this is exactly the same as let's electrocute the grav plating. Bad, Mr. Andrews. We are not aiming to kill.
So what you're essentially trying to do here is to create an advantage for yourselves that will be a detriment to the enemy. So Natala, you can spend 2 momentum to create an advantage, preventing them, the opponents from the opposition from being able to beam up the away team.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
So
if the shuttle was sort of in line of sight with shields up, would that affect it as well?
That's a good point. You don't have shields up on your shuttle, do you? So are you asking whether or not the Californian can get beamed up as well?
Well, no. I mean, I'm not sure.
Acts as a blocker.
Yeah.
Oh, you could. So Natala could recommend that, create some means of interfering with by blocking transport. Okay, so I'm going to create.
I'm happy.
Spend 2 momentum then, somebody, and
No, Nova. No.
I'm going to put that there to remind myself that you have created what's essentially an advantage, a new trait on the board. Cool. As a result of that, what are they going to do? So they want to stop you from doing what you're doing. You just stop them from stopping you, which means we're going to have to up the ante.
They're going to stop us from stopping them from stopping us from stopping them.
Which means they're now going to open fire. So
It's like, please don't torpedo us.
So they're going to use that plus that, and they automatically get one of those. So I'm going to fire that. So yeah, it's basically a couple of warning shots that get fired towards the Navis. As
Are we able to
enemy ship.
identify what torpedoes they fired at?
They
us?
fired no torpedoes. They let loose with their phaser
Oh.
arrays.
Okay.
So yeah. Looks like a beam that went deliberately wide.
We should
Try and
probably try
suggest.
and open comms with them, but they fired on us, so...
They haven't
Can we
made
swap
any
me and
attempt
Claude
to.
round?
Do you want Claude to go now then? In that case.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
they've raised hostilities. I think Claude should have fun and fire back.
Let's change it to 7.
Done with the stone fist torpedo of doom.
Claude just yeets himself out of the torpedo bay, fist out, like...
Captain, I'll send a small spread.
Sending Claude.
So who wants to be Claude? Who wants to be the Navis?
I'm at 10, Gareth's at 10. Ian's at 11. So.
Are we sure we want to go to like full combat? Because at this point they have just warned, not escalated.
They started it, to be
They're
honest. So.
pirates.
Yeah, they started it. They entered into an area where there is a gravimetric.
And they
assault
attempted
going
to
on.
kidnap members of our crew.
Yeah, this
They're
is now
Orion pirates.
defense.
They're slavers. We can't.
Cliffs. I think
Plus
I want Claude to have fun. Shoot him.
Plus, Taliban may be on there, so...
Yeah,
if we-
Taliban might be on there, so she needs to die.
Alright, so Claude needs to make a control and security check, and whoever's controlling the ship needs to make a weapons and security.
Starship weapon systems focus.
Yes, indeed. This is why you
Control and
pay him the
security.
big bucks.
Yep.
Weapon security.
Difficulty
for the ship,
2,
3 successes.
3 successes. Now,
and then
Claude
the ship,
save puny flesh bags again.
The ship is weapons and security, I assume.
correct. 1
This.
dice.
No, it doesn't have a focus.
No, the ship doesn't have a focus. 1 extra success. Okay, so you got 2 over what you need. This is very interesting.
So we're giving them a much more, a much bigger warning shot.
So
we're
what
not
you can
boarding
do-
shot.
What you can do then is if you roll the damage from your phaser arrays, and you can use those extra 2 successes to add 2 dice to the damage.
That was not.
We're shooting up. No, it's not a.
Oops, critical hit on the engines.
Yeah, go on, Gareth. You were the Navis to roll the D10.
Look at,
So phaser
Oh, the-
arrays
sorry.
for damage, remember to add 2 to the dice that it asks for with regards to damage.
okay, so is it the little thing by the phase arrays? Because I've never
Yeah.
actually rolled these before. So, and I increased that by 2, did you say?
Yep, so the box that comes up will say number of dice in pool 10, change
Yep.
that to 12, and then click roll dice. 7 successes, 3 effects, nice. So that hits for 7, knocking their shields down by 1. Now, phaser arrays have the ability to hit with, what are they called again? A spread. So by rolling effects, what you've had is you've shot once, you've shot twice. The second shot does half the damage of that one, so 3, but an extra 2 for the extra 2 effects that you made, so that actually hits for 5. And that shot just illuminates, that second shot illuminates their shields again, but doesn't seem to do as much damage as the first shot, which definitely knocks their shields down a smidge. But yeah, you took their shields down by a bit. So that was Claude. Right, in which case, what do they do now? They have initiated scans. They then moved, which used power. They then attempted the changing of their transporter beams. They then fired. So now is a case. Oh. Ooh, what are they gonna do? They can't beam them up. The Navis has just turned in. They are going to do daring and engineering with a focus. Right, they attempted to draw more power and put it through the main deflector to counteract what you guys were doing with trying to make the anomaly grow smaller, but they didn't. They're attempting it. Nothing has happened as of yet. But they've drawn power from their own systems as a result. Andrews.
There's not really a lot I can do from here.
You
Other than
can.
kind of like encourage the leadership position to continue, to sort of like to bolster what Nova's doing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, you can, as a commander, you've got the option of ordering somebody to go now, which you can do once an encounter. So somebody else, even if they've already gone, acts again on your turn, and you get to, I think you get to aid them. I'm not sure about that last bit, but direct. You can use the direct action. Give one officer currently on the bridge. That officer attempts a single task determined by the CO, and the CO assists using command. You can only use it once per seat. So if you think somebody needs to go again, or somebody needs to act now, you can do that, or you can try and just use a presence and command to get momentum back.
I think we're good for momentum. If people are happy to let Nova go again.
Yeah.
Alright. So Andrews can assist whenever Nova does again.
Can I burn a determination while assisting or not?
Ooh. Go on then.
For the good of the Federation.
Yes.
Then you want to try and draw more out of the anomaly.
I think draw more out. We are not. Well, there's a part of me that's tempted to fire at them, but that's really not Federation way. We wouldn't turn an anomaly into a weapon.
I'm trying to think of any way of rerouting the beam. They're going into the anomaly. Is there any way of like magnetizing this thing to that particular wavelength so it starts pulling their one into
The satellite that you're standing on?
Thank you, satellite. Thank you. Rather than
That's
the
an
anomaly.
interesting thought.
Because if we were able to reverse it, we've got some sort of way of
Drawing
polarizing
it to you.
first. Yeah, so
Polarizing is a good word. I like that.
So potentially try and draw there on as well. So that way we're draining the anomaly.
And
But then again, there is a
powering
risk of overpowering the satellite though.
Yeah.
Which means the away team will probably need to book it off the satellite pretty quick smart. But it looks like that might be an idea anyway.
I've been trying to avoid the idea of overloading the satellite since we basically
I
started
think it's
gone
one of
here.
them. I think we need to get rid of it ultimately because it is creating gravitation anomalies. But thoughts of everyone else? I like the plan.
This thing's got a communicator thing, so we could try and reroute any extra power and energy through that into a communication and try and disrupt the comms link. So basically using it more to block the transporter so that the Navis doesn't have to keep doing that.
Okay. So. Excuse me. So Nova can do her thing now, like.
What was that, Davis? Was that pointed at the enemy ship? Did you say?
Just get the satellite to dump all this energy straight into the enemy ships.
I'd like to, but it's not Federation.
We've had that
Federation
talk already.
would
I've already
be-
been
but-
had
yeah,
the newspapers.
yeah, we wouldn't turn it into a weapon.
Three successes.
Can I use my foci of stopping protocols?
Yep. Whoa! All right, that is a resounding success. So, yeah. So the plan was to basically try and disrupt what's going on in any way possible? Or was there something specific you were after? Yeah.
Start drawing extra energy out of it and trying to reroute that into like blocking transporters and...
Cool. So routing energy out of the oh, right, cool. Right, nice. Okay. What you're doing definitely seems to be working, as the energy beam coming out of the black ship is now starting to curve and is joining the stream that the satellite is now pulling out of the anomaly. Very nice.
They forgot not to cross the streets.
What can they do now? They've already tried firing, they've tried this, they've tried that, they just altered things. You guys are now pulling power out, which means they actually lose power. They are going to
precious shields may be faded.
They are going to try and fix what you just did by trying something of their own, but it's going to be risky. But they're going to try.
Oh, can we spend momentum to increase this sort of like threat?
Yeah, but it's a bit late now. I've just rolled.
Oh, you see, he sped up on his dice roll and then he panicked.
Sorry, you said it just as I hit roll. I would have allowed that, definitely.
Yeah, of course you did.
You also it. No one can disrupt the Nova protocols. Okay, 2 successes. They are trying to fight back what you've done and routing power from their own systems in order to wrestle control of the beam back. Your sheer number of successes means that your attempt was a lot more successful than theirs, but they are persisting. Lieutenant Turin, who I forgot to include in initiative, but I've now put in, she wants to use what she knows to continue on the line of what you've been doing to try and ensure that when all the energy that's being drawn off of the anomaly doesn't actually can maybe be siphoned into the satellite to pause and overload and shut it down. But to do that, she's going to need to get to a different part of the array in order to monkey with it. She suggests you guys probably want to get onto the Californian while she's doing this, so that you're all ready to go, and she'll be on as soon as she's finished her work. If that's all right with you. So that's what she's going to do right now. She's going to be daring. Let's use insight. She's going to use her focus. She's got determination. Logic is all. Let's use her determination. Logic is all. Ooh, hello. She was very determined. So Lieutenant Turin is busy monkeying with the emitter array of the satellite in order to try and make sure that this thing takes as enough energy as it needs to shut down. Which means it's Lieutenant Bravo's turn, and yeah, pretty much getting everybody onto the runabout would be a really good idea at this point.
That sounds like a really good idea at this point.
Way ahead of you.
So, that's Bravo. Kirst is currently the ops officer on the Navis, and will probably be working to get power back. So, let's say since time's running on, Kirst managed to get a point of power back on the Navis. Keval. I am actually going to supersede Keval by introducing the captain, and she is going to use her ability, but I am going to steal 2 momentum from you in order that she tries to get her ability to make others act to include all of the away team. so that you can get into the runabout, so that Keval can be ready to lift off as soon as possible on his turn. So, Captain is ordering you all to get into the runabout. Erienne still has to do her jobby job though, but Ferdinand has to warm up the engines and get the runabout ready to go. So can Keval give me a preemptive control and con check to or even a daring and control. Daring and con to try and make sure to lift off as fast as possible. Safety procedures be damned, kind of thing.
Yeah, can we try and get a partial transport to lock on?
Thank you. I was thinking of the same thing.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. So somebody else could probably try that. Edwards could probably try that.
Yeah, Ed was gonna give it a go. What do you want?
So can I have first Keval give the piloting check? What was it I said? 2. Awesome. Exactly what you needed.
Control and science?
Control and science is fine, yep. Two successes. Alright, cool. So, what happens? Nova's monkeying, assisted by Lieutenant Erienne, guiding the energy wave into the satellite, starts having definite effects as the satellite begins to rumble as it's absorbing so much power that the systems are starting to overload. With what Nova did and what Erienne is doing, and is trying to make her way back to the Carpathian as I speak, stumbling around a bit because the whole satellite is beginning to shake from the sheer amount of power that's coming off of it. As that happens, a flaring of light comes out of the anomaly and momentarily blinding everybody, but as you put your hands down, you're forced to wonder if what you're seeing next is actually happening, as you can see a pair of enormous spectral energy hands just reach out from the other side of the anomaly. One of them heads towards the black ship. The other one heads towards and grabs the satellite. The black ship is completely ensnared by the massive hand, and the satellite is likewise ensnared, and as the satellite gets grabbed, it shifts violently, throwing the Carpathian, pardon me, one less threat, I just made a mistake, so it's throwing the Californian completely free, to which point Keval has to throw the engines on like he'd prepared to in order to make sure that you don't go careening off into the anomaly as the gravity waves momentarily flare. The Navis likewise has to burn a point of power to stay in position as the gravitational pull of the anomaly starts to grow exponentially larger. The hands start withdrawing towards the anomaly, pulling the satellite and the black ship with them. And just as you're trying to get a handle on what's going on, all the telepaths and empaths as one receive this flaring, overwhelming telepathic message that just fills their minds completely with "Help us! Free us!" so loud that it just becomes the only thing that you can sense in your minds, their minds. And the hands draw back with incredible speed, pulling the satellite and the ship. And unfortunately, Lieutenant Erienne,
are we able to use that partial teleport lock?
Get to that in just a moment. Sweet. You initiate transport. As best as you can.
How much soup have we got? I wouldn't. Let's not energize the pattern. Keep it in pattern storage. Let Mr. Latude do the wonders of being Mr. Latude.
He can fix it in a bit.
Security override Andrews 8641 Alpha.
Nice.
We will keep her in suspended animation until we can work out how much of pattern we have.
All right. The as the hands draw in and that massive telepathic message goes out, the anomaly starts to shrink and closes in on itself with a snap and just disappears. The Californian... Sorry, Shaun, I talked over you there. What was that? Start again?
Did the voice that spoke out sound similar to the hello first contact?
The hello first contact was more of a mechanical thing, but you have experienced this massive presence before, and now it just talked. So this is similar to what you have experienced before in regards to telepathic contact with something to do with those monoliths. You have sensed it before, and this was the same, but not as painful, but definitely as all-consuming this time. And something actually reached out and grabbed stuff from this side, so... The Californian and its crew complement managed to make it back to dock with the Navis, and folks quickly send an order to Latude, of course, to make sure the pattern buffer is stocked, ready to reconstitute Lieutenant Turin. But it's with some trepidation that Lieutenant Latude doesn't answer immediately. And when the captain presses him on the issue, he says, "There's no pattern in the buffer, sir. We never got it." So...
You know, I mentally called it as soon as you had to do something at that point.
But the anomaly is now gone, along with the satellite and the black ship. So, for the moment at least, you have more or less succeeded in making sure that the Madrigal system did not end up getting destroyed thanks to the anomaly. What possible reason the black ship had for trying to make the anomaly bigger is a very pertinent question, but one which you probably won't get the answer to sitting around here for the moment.
They're pirates.
Well, quite, and they actually had the audacity to try and kidnap Starfleet personnel and fired upon a Starfleet ship, so there's...
Orion pirate, they start try and steal stuff, they try and kidnap people, they impersonate Starfleet personnel. Orion Syndicate, there's no other explanation. 31 doesn't exist, I'd know.
And that, I'm afraid, is where this episode ends.
First one I think I've seen where you've done it in one night.
So, yes, that brings an end to this particular episode.
Is it deliberate that it was called the USS Spectre? You know, the bad guy,
Yes.
James Bond.
Yes. Totally. As soon as I'd done it, I realised, oh yeah, Spectre from James Bond. It's a black ship, for heaven's sake. What more evidence do you need that there's something
You
not
could have just
right?
called it the USS Black.
I guess. If I was feeling particularly uncreative that day, then yes, I could definitely.
Actually, hang on. No, what's the Latin for black?
Noir.
Negro.
No, that's French. Yeah, it'd be.
Negro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it should have been the Schwartz.
Should have done those all. Well then, unless there's anything else you guys would like to say or do, I'm afraid the captain's going to have to write a letter to Terin's family. And we'll never know if she actually had any interest in Edwards at all.
She totally did.
I'm sure Andrews will be writing that as the exo. Dear Lieutenant Terin's parents, tragically, after falling in love with someone we suspect to be a changeling, she inexplicably vanished.
I was going to say, all I'm hearing is that anyone who shows interest in Edwards the Sequels disappears.
Yeah, anyone who shows interest in the changeling disappears.
It's the Harry Kim curse.
I wouldn't say it's quite the same as the Harry Kim curse, but it's got striking similarities. Well then, folks, I'm afraid that calls an end to our current session. But as was pointed out, yes, this has been an unusually short one, but this particular episode was more straightforward and to the point than others. So we will get to be starting another episode next time. And I hasten to note that next episode is going to be a season finale. We've kind of determined that our seasons now are going to be about 15 episodes long, and we've actually just finished the 14th episode here, so the next episode is our 15th. This one should, I hope, be a nicely special one that I'm hoping is going to be a bit of a treat for Trek fans like myself. When I came across it, I thought, yeah, I've got to do this one as a season ender, so hopefully you'll enjoy it as much as I enjoyed making it. So we'll have to wait till next Tuesday for that, though, I'm afraid, unless any of you guys have got anything on. Can we expect everyone to be present for next Tuesday at the 22nd?
Should be next Tuesday. Yep.
Well, that should be healthy.
Well, careful.
We could tune in for season finale that I assume will be called The Second Best of Both Worlds.
Sorry, I'm not that creative when it comes to titles. Plus, I don't make up the titles. So.
It's going to be failings on the holodeck, isn't it? It's going to be a holodeck finale.
Yeah.
We get trapped in the holodeck just as sort of like the Klingon Federation war starts.
That's a good point. This is building up very close now to the point where the Klingon Federation conflict actually gets underway. So yes, we're very close. And it also, something I forgot to mention. The first thing that happens when the crew of the Navis return to Narendra Station is they get news that as soon as they arrive back, word comes back that the Obsidian Order and the Tal Shiar have just been decimated by the Dominion. So...
Yeah, that's their secret police con. It's a good job that Starfleet doesn't have anything like that.
unless it's the disco era, and then everyone knows.
Yeah,
disco wasn't hidden. Starfleet wants to pretend it never happened. It's embarrassed.
That's why they got rid of all records. Yeah, just embarrassed.
Yeah.
Well, to any and all folks who are taking part in the stream and watching it, thank you very much for attending. And yes, tune in next week for the season finale. That might take two sessions to complete. We'll see how these guys do. But in the meantime, wow, we're nearly at our 15th episode. So yes, take care of each other, especially in these troubled and equally troubling times. Look after yourselves and each other. Starfleet and Star Trek, I like to think, give us a means of looking at our future with hope. So even though this episode ended on a bit of a there's room for others, of course, to bring back that hope. So stay tuned for hopeful messages from the future. In the meantime, I will say to everybody, live long and prosper, and speak to you all next week. Hailing frequencies closed.